What's up, guys? Bailey here. Sorry for being MIA, for not recording in about 2 weeks. It was, I've been super busy, all right? So sorry if I was, MIA, but I'm not KIA, all right? I'm here. I'm back here to give my predictions for UFC Fight Night Houston. I'm only going to do the main card because I really think that's just kind of what people are interested in. All right, let's get right into it. So first fight here, we got Reese versus Michel Periera. Now, Michel Periera, he's got some advantages coming in here, all right? He's a crafty vet, right? He's been there. He's done that. Obviously, he hasn't fought like at the super high echelons of the UFC, but he's fought solid talent. He's a crafty vet. He's got a very wild arsenal, has lots of different kicks, lots of different weapons. He's very athletic. And on top of that, he is just a clip farmer. You know what I mean? He's just like he's kind of like a Michael Venom Page a little bit where, his performances, they're not like over the top entertaining, but you do get clips from him there. So then you got Reese. Reese, he got a submission over Jackson McKivery, I think is how you pronounce his last name. But he got a rear naked choke. It was a good win. I just kind of feel like there's nothing in particular that sticks out about him right now. But I do feel like that, I don't know, I want to pick Michel Periera because, he's the veteran, clip farmer, all those things. But we're in a new era, right? We're just simply in a new era of middleweights and welterweights, around that weight range. We're in a new era. And I got to go with Reese. I'll be very surprised if Michel Periera manages to pull something off. I just don't see it happening, though. I just think that Reese, he's going to be plotty. He's going to come forward, and he's either going to just take a bunch of hits and lose and get clipped on and finessed from by Michel Periera, or he's going to go in there and he's just going to kind of take Michel Periera to a decision and he's going to win. I'm kind of banking on Reese just taking Michel to a decision and winning. So yeah, next we got Jacobe Smith versus Josiah Harrel. I'm actually kind of excited to see this fight. Jacobe Smith, he looked great in his last fight. He has two really, really solid wins. He got a very solid knockout against Preston Parsons, right? He, submitted everyone's favorite niche king, Nico Price. Dude, Jacobe Smith, I honestly think is going to win this match. Josiah Harrel, he kind of suffers from the NPC effect. His takedown defense really isn't that great. And Jacobe Smith, he has great pressure and great volume. That's something, even in his last fight, that stood out the most. When he was fighting Nico Price, he kept going and he kept on hitting him. Even in the towards the end of the first round, he hurt Nico Price really, really bad. It was all around, was just showing a lot on the feet and even a lot on the ground, even like I said, submitting him. And he has power. His top pressure is crazy. The ground and pound he was putting on Nico Price was crazy. And Josiah just hasn't shown any facilities in the takedown defense to where he can negate that problem. I see Jacobe Smith really kind of doing whatever he wants. I see him taking him down. I see him getting the finish. I'm going to be honest with you. I see Jacobe Smith getting the finish. Second round, I got to say ground and pound. I got to say second round ground and pound. And yeah, that's going to be my prediction for this one. We got a heavyweight fight. We got Serghei Spivac versus Ante Delija. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is like a really big NPC fight. Serghei Spivac, the only advantage I see him really kind of having, and I don't even know if it's an advantage, just more of an attribute, is his grappling. Serghei Spivac, he does have a decent amount of submission wins on his resume, but at the end of the day, he just can't beat the higher echelon guys. When you lose to guys like Giant Almeida, who just got cut from the UFC, by the way, Waldo Cortez at Costa, another guy he lost to, Tom Aspinall was another guy that he lost to, and Serghei Spivac, I think, is more being treated like a stepping stone in the heavyweight division. Now, that being said, Ante Delija, nothing about him really stands out outside of his third nipple. I'm going to be real with you. I got to go with Serghei Spivac. He just has a little bit more on paper for me to work with and for me to analyze. Ante Delija, I just don't think he's fought as higher tier of competition. I just don't think he's been as tested, where at least with Serghei, he's been in there with some of the best right now. Now, I know it's not saying a whole lot, but only time will tell, but I'm going to have Serghei on this one. I think he might get it done in the grappling department as well. I wouldn't say submission, but I think it's going to be a huge factor into what's going to get him into that decision win. This is going to be an interesting fight. We got Ige versus Melquizael Costa. Listen, this is going to be interesting here because Ige, he is a battle-hardened veteran. He is someone who has fought a lot of people. His last fight, I think, was against Sean Woodson, and he finished him, and that was a weird finish. That was a weird fight, if I'm being honest with you. And I'm not sure. But Dan Ige, in my opinion, is the better finisher. Melquizael, I know his last fight, he got a head kick knockout. I had him losing that fight too. But, I'm going to be real with you. I think that the only advantage he has here is in the grappling. Dan Ige, on the feet, is smoother, more crisp technique. Melquizael, even with the head kick KO, he threw the kick and he just kind of fell on his ass as, he knocked out the other guy. I fucking forgot his name too. That's the worst part. But regardless, I just think that Melquizael, look, I like him. He's got a lot of personality to him. He even put in his bio like that he's ex-black, which I think is pretty fucking funny. And I do think that he might have better grappling. Dan Ige just has way more body of work. He's been ranked for a much longer time. If he does lose this fight, this would be a setback for him. If Melquizael, loses, this would make sense. Dan Ige is a veteran. He's been there. He's done that. I'm torn because, I want to go with Dan Ige, but something tells me Melquizael is going to win. But I'm going to go with Dan Ige. I think that's who I'm going to pick. Got to go with Dan Ige. Got to go with the veteran. Got to go with the better guy. Yeah. Next. This one's going to be interesting. We got Geoff Neal versus Uroš Medić. Geoff Neal is a goated gatekeeper. Him and Neil Magny, they get the shit done, okay? And Geoff Neal, he's given a lot of people work. I mean, one of his most famous examples of a fight that he lost but still gave work was against Shavkat Rakhmonov, and that fight was awesome. I mean, he was tapping up Shavkat, pinging him, great offense, great boxing, fought all the way until the end until he got choked out. And I think that's something Geoff Neal has. Great boxing. Very tight defense. Great hands. I know he suffered a real bad knockout, spinning elbow from Carlos Prates. But listen, I mean, Uroš is not Carlos Prates. It's a different guy here. A lot, I want to say, less experienced. A lot less weapons. A lot less size. This might be a little bit more even here. And Geoff Neal has the battle-hardened experience of being a ranked fighter. That plays an advantage when you are fighting somebody. The competition that you are fighting is going to naturally be better than someone who's not ranked, you know what I mean? But Uroš, on the other hand, he has a good KD ratio. He's 12-3, where Geoff Neal's 16-7. And I think that Uroš, he has great KO power, and that's something that stands out about him, is this guy's finish rate is 100%. I mean, he's knocked out everybody. He's finished everyone. And I just think that if he continues this, I see Uroš maybe finishing Geoff Neal, but I got to go with Geoff Neal. I got to go with the gatekeeper. I got to go with the vets. I just got a feeling that the Unks are going to get it done. You know what I mean? I got to go with Team Unk. And yeah, I mean, that's it, man. Next, we got the main event. We got Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. Now, I got to be real. UFC did a video where it was them promoting and, interviewing these guys. I thought the video was very well done, and it genuinely had me more excited to watch this fight. I was already excited to watch this fight just based off the fact that it's two of the middleweights, better cardio fighters, and that we're seeing Sean Strickland, who's a bigger star in the division, versus Anthony Hernandez, which, even though he's not that well known, this fight can really elevate him. So let's just go over each fighter. Let's just get into it. So Sean Strickland, he has championship experience. His striking is championship level. That's what got him to beating Adesanya. That's what, the right hand knocked him down, knocked Adesanya down, and changed the whole dynamic of the fight. Ever since then, Sean Strickland's striking has been better, right? Now, outside of him losing to Dricus du Plessis twice in a row, that's Dricus du Plessis. He's unorthodox. He's also a champion. We haven't seen Sean Strickland fight a bit lower tier competition. On the other hand, something that we do have to look at is I feel like that the striking advantage is only slight. The reason why I say it's slight is because Sean Strickland's best weapons is his teep and his jab. It's not really anything in particular. Yeah, he has a great right hand, but that's because it cracked Adesanya. Prior to that, he wasn't really known for a right hand. He wasn't really known for any of that. You know what I mean? He wasn't known to be this hard hitter, this guy with crazy, ungodly power. No, he's mostly known for his volume and his cardio. But something that Sean Strickland does have taken into consideration is against Anthony Hernandez, he doesn't really have any grappling. That's something that he can't really exercise and look into. And I think that is something he has to be aware of, and that segues perfectly into Anthony Hernandez, is that he does have the grappling advantage. That's the way I view it. I mean, especially after his fight with Roman Dolidze, I mean, he violated him. He put him in a rear naked choke and dragged him across the octagon until it was over. I mean, Jesus, it was an absolute violation. And the cardio and the volume is a problem. And I think that he uses it as a weapon and a vehicle to win a lot more effectively than Sean Strickland. You know, Sean Strickland, I feel like he kind of coasts where Anthony Hernandez goes in. You know what I mean? He goes in. And I feel like that's what I've seen in his performances, where Sean Strickland as of late has not gone in. He's just coasted. He's kind of looked for something or waited for someone to make a mistake. Anthony Hernandez goes in and he creates the mistakes for them. He creates what's the word I'm even looking for? That circumstance where their opponent has to make a mistake, or they think way too critically and they fuck up. And that's what he did with Roman Delija. I just think that the technique is there too. Anthony Hernandez is a very technical guy. You know, and both guys are very technical strikers, but Anthony Hernandez, especially in the grappling, just mixing it up, I think he's a little better at it than Sean Strickland, simply because he just does it more. He mixes up the striking and the takedowns on a much more frequent level than Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland, just on the feet, doesn't really exercise the grappling or the clinching or anything of that. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And on top of that, the implications for the winner. I believe that the winner is going to fight for the title. You know, Nasruddin Mavov, you know, I don't even know what the fuck's going on, brother. Like, I really don't. Like, is he going to fight Hamza? Is he not? I don't know. And it looks like none of us really care at this point. Dricus du Plessis, it looks like he's on like a hiatus or something like that. Like, he may not be coming back anytime soon. I don't know. I just think that the winner of this fight, I see being the #1 contender for the title, especially if Anthony Hernandez wins. If he wins this fight, who else does he really have to fight? You know what I mean? In order to prove like he needs a title shot. I just think that this fight, it's really going to come down to who has better cardio, better stamina, and also better heart. Really just more heart. Who wants it more? Sean Strickland coming in from weighing 230 pounds. He's been on a massive break or suspension, you know, for 9 months for the whole incident that happened where he came in the tough fight and he hit that guy and he got suspended. But then you got Hernandez, who's been active, who's been busy. He was supposed to fight Rainier de Ritter. Fight got canceled, and now he's fighting Sean Strickland. I'm going to be honest with you. I got to go with Anthony Hernandez, man. I think Anthony Hernandez has a much bigger chip on his shoulder. I think he's more well-rounded in terms of mixing in the grappling and the striking together in a cohesive single game plan. I think Anthony Hernandez is better at that. I think that he will lean into his cardio and the fact that he can take punishment. Like, he doesn't lean or shy away from that. And I think that Sean Strickland, I'm not going to lie, you know, he wants to say it's going to be a war to the death or all these other things that he usually does. Anthony Hernandez kind of lives that. And I think that Anthony Hernandez is going to try to take Strickland into deep waters, but even more so. Even higher volume, even tougher of a pace, you know, and I think that he's going to give him every kind of look. I think he's going to give him all kinds of combinations, takedown looks. But Sean Strickland, you know, I think that he can, you know, listen, he can ping Anthony Hernandez up. Do I think he can knock him out? No, I don't. But do I think he can catch, you know, Hernandez and have his moments? Absolutely. But I got to go with Anthony Hernandez here, man. You know, I think he has a lot more momentum, has a lot more going for himself, and fuck, Strickland might move up to light heavyweight. Yeah, you know, it's just at the end of the day, that's how I think this cookie's going to crumble. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This is going to be my UFC Fight Night official main card predictions. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, what your predictions. And, you know, if you guys want to see, you know, Sean Strickland fight Hamzat for the title, you know, have him get another title shot, or Hernandez, new up and coming guy, him fighting Hamzat for the title. I think that'd be even, you know, more interesting. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Peace.